the extra effort of getting my favorite Tom versus right.
I'm going to introduce ourselves, and then we'll just go through the whole thing. My name is Ray Billet. This is my wife, Elizabeth. It's her grandfather who homesteaded this ranch in 1891. And she'll give you a little bit of background of what happened when they first came over from Switzerland and so on.
Okay, hi, we're glad to see so many of you here today, and we're not tour guides, so bear with us, please. Grandma and Grandpa were both born in Beggingen, Switzerland. Grandpa had been over to the United States and worked several years and then went back to Switzerland in the 1800s. Then Grandma was with a group of people that came from Beggingen on the ship with him the second time when he came over. He kind of acted as a guide for him. And they ended up in Chicago, and in February of 1889, Grandma and Grandpa were married there in Chicago. Now, I assume they knew each other before they came on this trip over to the United States, but, I don't know. There's a lot of history that I wish I knew, that when you're a teenager, you just don't ask. You're just not interested in that. So, they were married there in Chicago, and then I think they went to San Francisco on the train, and then later here to Los Angeles. And my father was born in Los Angeles in November of 1989. Now, Grandpa was a stonecutter. That was his trade. He had spent 3 years as an apprentice working there in Switzerland. There was, how many men was it?
50 men.
50 men that worked under this huge pear tree, learning the trade of cutting the stone. And so he was, he got a little unhappy there in Chicago with the unions. They'd go out on strike in the summertime, and then when they were supposed to be working, then it was so cold they couldn't work. And so then he was kind of disenchanted here in Los Angeles, too, and came out here to Acton on the train and got off here in Acton, and the saloon that's there where the Red Carpet Realty is now, the saloon keeper loaned him a shotgun, and he went duck hunting on the lake there, the corner of Gillespie and Soledad Canyon Rope. That was a lake here in the early 80s, and got on up the canyon here, followed the stream, jackrabbit hunting. And he then decided this was a pretty good spot and to keep bees. He was interested in keeping bees and doing some farming, and so he filed a claim on, we have a discrepancy here. Now, the original, this is a copy of the original homestead deed, and it says 158 acres. Now, my dad always talked about 80 acres that he filed on and then turned 40 of it back. Anyway, we ended up with 40 acres that this part of the orchard and the house sits on. Then later in the, about 1916 and 1922, my dad homesteaded another 50 acres adjoining this to the south, and my uncle homesteaded 168 acres farther south in the canyon. But they, of course, a homestead, I don't know, most of you probably know what it is, but they had to file on a piece of land and then live and work the land for 10 years, and then it was there. So this is actually dated 1901. So last year the ranch was 100 years old. In 1918, they had finally accomplished all the work necessary and the papers filed to obtain water rights in Aliso and Gleason canyons. They built underground dams that was a wall of cement across the riverbed and brought the water to the surface and piped the water down here to the ranch. So that they could start doing all the pipe laying and so on, so they could start planting trees, which they had started planting the first ones around 1910, pears and apples. And of course, the whole family didn't live out here until full-time, until I would imagine about the middle to 90s to 1900, because Grandpa would work in Los Angeles and the train was their main transportation back and forth. Yeah, and they could have supplies shipped out to the little depot that was there in Acton, just on the corner there between Soledad Canyon Road and Crown Valley, where it crosses the railroad tracks there. There was a little freight depot there. but they could get on and off the train there too. It wasn't a regular passenger depot though. Of course, the children then had, when they were out here, had to walk through the mountains to the red brick schoolhouse there in Acton. And it was a rough life. They had to either raise or shoot rabbits or, you know, for most of their food and all. And they had cows, and they'd have to let the cows loose to forage for food and then round up the cows at the end of the day. And it was quite a rugged existence and very hard. We'll be showing you today the cement mixer here that they'd make all the cement pipe that they brought the water in with, and the old homestead house that was just 2 rooms. So I'll let Ray take over here. Anytime if you have any questions, well, I will be glad to try to answer them.
That I try to just add on to. Sometimes they would have to chase those cows after they got out of school. They would have to chase them sometimes clear over to the Vincent Hill restaurant over there. And I asked my father-in-law one time, I said, how did you ever keep track of these cows? And he told me, he said, well, the first thing, they always had bells on the cows, of course. But he said that they would watch which way they went the first thing in the morning. And that gave them a clue where they would have to look for them in the afternoon. So I still was amazed at how they found them, because they had work horses, but their father would not let them ride horses. They had to walk to find their cows.
I mean, work horses were for work, you know.
And so he said, well, he said every time they found a fresh cow pie, they threw a rock in it, and that's how they kept track of their cows. So it was kind of interesting. These boys were only like 11 and 12 years old when they were left here by themselves. So they had to milk the cows in the morning and at night, and then they had the chickens and this type of thing, and they shot cottontails mainly for their meat. They didn't have, they would raise some pork and so on, but most of the time, what they ate most of the time was cottontails in the canyon. And so I think from there, we'll go and we'll start showing you what has happened with everything else.
Stranger, how are you? Long time no see.
This is the cement mixer that they used when they first started building the underground dams. And we laugh about it. You'll see the cement mixers on the truck today, and this thing is almost identical to what you see on the truck. Although what they do today is they dump it in the back. What they had was the cement was in here, the sand was in here, and this thing, when it had water in here, when it came out the end, it was all mixed. Okay. You either could turn it with your hand, or they used to use a 1-liter engine on it. It had a belt on it that rolled the sand and the cement into there, and the time it got out to the bottom, it was all mixed. They would put a big plate in the bottom here, or kind of like a pan type of thing that they would use to mix it. Okay, then this here is the cement forms that they had to make the cement pipes. Okay, and what they did, this is the finished product. What they did, this has the expansion and shrinking, and they would set the cement, put the cement down alongside of this, and take these, and would clamp this like this around there to make so that there was no hole in the pipe, and then they would then unloosen this and then pull these forms off after they settle a little bit. This is the top part. This is to make one end, made the female end, and the male end, so that they could fasten them together. Okay, and that's how this worked.
They must have made probably all
Over
together.
3 miles of pipeline was laid in this creek.
Wow.
And they made it all.
3 miles.
If there's any questions,
This
They
must have been
had-
in about 1910. That they
So-
were
Well, they would have started before then.
probably
even.
before that, probably in the early 1900s.
They had train carloads of cement shipped out here to Acton for all the cement work that was done. Of course, you're talking about a time of from like the early 1890s on through. Well, we're still doing improvements, but a lot of time. The big house here wasn't finished until 1916, and they started on it in 1912. And we'll show you later the homestead house that they had. That, of course, they had to put that up right away for them to stay in.
How long did it take for those to set up?
Pardon me?
How long-
I don't think it took very long because this is the only set they had. So they would pour it, compact it, and then they slipped it off very easily and then just let it dry.
Okay,
There
so they
used to be a
could,
place over here that they had was poured with concrete, just a flat piece that they could just keep moving with this. I don't know exactly how long they had to set it up, but I don't think it was too long because
Does it take a
otherwise
long
it would have
time
taken
to-
them a long time. So I don't know exactly how many minutes they let it set up before they would move it.
Well, of course, you're talking hauling sand from the riverbed,
Everything,
you know, and
everything was from here.
hand pumper. They did have a windmill on a hand dug well there, so you had to have the water where your cement mixer was, and everything was with horses and sled or wagon.
We're not going to show you inside the house today. There's too many of you. But, I'll tell a little bit about the house so that you have some idea before we go over and show you all of the rest of the tools that they used to cut stone and so on. But the house, when they finally got the walls up, okay, they hired 2 carpenters. They made a crop of honey. I think it was like $1,600 that they made off of a crop of honey in 1916. It was a comb honey that they made, not the extracted honey that we're used to seeing today. And they hired 2 carpenters and then their lumber that they needed. And we still have the original blueprints to this house. Unbelievable. And they hired the 2. One was a rough carpenter. One was a finished carpenter. My father-in-law said when the rough carpenter came, the first thing he did was cut the framework for the top of the peak. And he said they swore that this thing would not fit. When they put them all together, it fit just perfectly. These people were masters at their job. It was just unbelievable. Inside of this house is there's corners in this house where they've made cabinets and the little pillars and this type of thing that's inside this house. You can't see the seam. It's unbelievable, the workmanship that went into this house. It's unbelievable. Is there any question?
On the tall chimney there, you see up halfway up above the roof there, there's a pick head on the outside. There's a 2-inch pipe that goes from that clear through and bolted to the rafters. And I think probably that's what saved a lot of that from toppling off in that 71 earthquake. Because it did break one of the windows there. But it's a job that we wish wasn't there when we try to clean the chimney, but it held the chimney up. You want to let them walk around the house and then meet
go
back
ahead,
out
walk around the house so you can see the whole house around it, and then end
go
up in
around,
front,
clear around
and
on
I'll
either side.
explain to you how they cut the stone.
I was looking into the sun before.
yeah, that makes a difference. It has to go around the back.
What year did they plant these trees?
Well, after they had the house finished, they first had some deciduous trees. So I think these were planted around 1920. But they've got a bug in them, and we're losing a lot of them. There was a lot more out here, but we find little, incense cedars. When you crush the leaves, you get the cedar smell. We sent some of the little larvae in, and they said they were a flat-footed fly that didn't infest evergreens.
Oh. And you sure proved him wrong, huh?
Isn't
that
Oh, this is wonderful. I just love it.
You should do this with Gary. Old town areas.
I know Becky would let him do it with the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
Great, huh? Oh, modern bird.
And in that, there's a window, but in that space, there were two 1-inch cables that run in this house this way, okay? You're around the inside.
Ray, are they cedars?
Yeah, they're incense cedars.
Is that what they are?
Incense cedar, yeah.
Were they planted?
Yes.
Yeah,
they planted-
about
They got them
1920.
in the mountain and brought them down and planted them.
Uh-huh.
But they
Why don't you come on out around and come down here front and I'll do a little explaining to the tools that I've got laying here so that you can kind of understand what they use to cut the stone and so on. Well, that's normal. Oh, some of it could stay up here for her. I just was trying to get everybody around the house. But, stay close. They won't mind. As long as we can get the rest of the people around the house.
Where? I don't want to lose you.
That's what, have you been past the place at Christmas time, you know, light, that for Christmas lights on the tree? We got pulleys up on top.
That's how you do that.
Yes, that's how. I always wondered how you got it up there. Well, my son crawled the tree and put the pulleys up there. There's 7 of them up there that we pull, 7 string. It's about, we have 3 strings of both, they're 25 feet apiece, so there's about 75.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, let me explain to you how they cut the stone, and we can kind of go that way. This is more or less the kind of chisel, we call them cold chisels today, but this is kind of how they had them shaped to be able to drill the holes. This rock here has a hole that is split here. You can see how they drilled this hole with this by just taking a hammer, and they just went. They just kept that up until they had a hole this big, okay?
the window over the
You can see those holes that are over that window, okay, real plain. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes in that rock up there that's over that window, okay? Okay, these other tools that are sitting here, these are just tools that they use to chip off the excess rock to try to get it smoother and so on. When they got the rock to the point where they had the holes, as many holes as they need, they then used these feathers and wedges. They stuck these down into the hole this way, and then they went back and forth with this mallet, this way, back and forth until this split away. And that's how they split everything. They're grained to the rock just like wood has, to the rock that they were using here, the rock that was in the creek now. Some of the rock, like these black rocks they call iron rocks, there's no grain in that rock. But in this type of rock, there's a grain. Now, don't ask me how to tell because I really don't know, okay? Because, and then after they got it halfway, then they used these other tools to chip this off fairly smooth. And then they used this. This has a handle on it like a sledgehammer, okay? And they went back and forth like this to get it smooth, like this rock here, okay? Or the steps that are what is there are on that edge. To get those smooth, that's what they use to get this smooth. I put a few other little things out here. This is a few horseshoes that were actually made by a forge, not like we see them today. They were made just, handmade. They're not made in a factory. These are handmade. This happens to be for a horse. This is for a mule. Okay. Then these are knives that they took and trimmed the hoofs up and cleaned the hoofs. And then this is a hammer that they use to hammer the nails in, to pull them, or whatever, okay? This, I should have mentioned that. Well, after they drilled these holes, now this one's a long one, but it's the same thing. After they drilled these holes, and especially when they were drilling in big holes, they would take this out, they would take this and they run this down and got the dirt out of there, the chippings out, so that they could get their feathers and everything in. Now, is there any questions? Have I left anything out?
Okay, just to get it time type, how long would it take, let's say, to build a porch with the chipping and the cutting and the laying and
Well, we figured that he probably cut stone for this thing probably 5-6 years for
Really?
this thing. Elizabeth's dad told me that his father could stand at pounding rocks all day long. It was unbelievable. He was not a very big man. He was a fairly short man, but very stocky and unbelievable. He said he could just stand there all day long and just, it was unbelievable.
Well, there's a basement half as big as the house underneath, and it's all the cut stone blocks.
It's all laid. The whole inside is all laid.
But at that time, the river channel was just a small channel on the far side of the canyon. It wasn't until 1938 in the flood that it washed it out to be the big wide channel.
It
So
was
all
only
of the
10
rock
foot
and
wide.
all they had to find down in there, and he'd find these great big huge boulders. I think about the longest piece is 9 foot long. See, the steps are all one solid piece. Over the garage door there is all one solid piece of stone.
And how they got the rock from the creek up to here, they most of the time they put it on a sled, on a sled with 2 runners. It was much easier than trying to get it on a buggy to pull it. They could get the sled much closer to it so that they could get a horse much closer to it. And so then they would roll them on either on planks on round pipes to be able to roll them up, or they took, like here, lots of times they would do this, they would run planks up this way, and then they would take a block of tackle above it and pulled it with a block of tackle up to get it up to the top, okay? Now, when they laid this, most of the time, like on the inside of the house, what they used is their forms that they used was like, they would take, they were 2x12s, and they would set them on the inside, and that's what give them their where they started laying it up. But now how they kept, like these pillars, how they kept them that straight, I have never figured out. I tried to make a few things around here like this, and hey, mine's like this, okay? So they were very good at their job. I mean, it was unbelievable. But I guess if you work for room and board for 3 years, I guess you pretty quickly learn how to be able to handle yourself. Any more questions?
How many rooms are in the house? Well, 8 if you want to count it. The living room, dining room is one room. There's 4 bedrooms upstairs. They're all large rooms, and then living room, dining room, and I use it as a den or an office and a kitchen downstairs.
There's an attic up there?
Yes, and it's very large. It's full of junk, okay? Lots of junk, okay?
Christmas.
When the problem is around here, you're going to see a lot of junk because, after a place is 100 years old, you don't throw things away, and you really should,
What are the thicknesses of the walls?
They're about this thick.
About 12 to 18 inches.
They're a little more than that.
Well, and then
almost
there's about an inch cable
that goes clear
that
around
runs
the house.
around this way.
Yeah,
We
clear
found
around the
some when we
house.
tried to make a window over here.
I don't know how many there is of those. We did not realize that until we had to make it was kind of a funny story. We had what was Floyd?
Oh, a lot of you will remember Floyd Plum.
Floyd Plum, I don't know whether you
Oh,
remember him or not.
Irishman.
Anyway, he was a guy that worked around a big Swede. I guess he was a Swede.
Yeah, sweet.
And his hands were probably twice the size of mine. And he did odd jobs. I mean, he was an odd man. I mean, he could do anything, just about, And so when her dad was in a car accident, he had to be at an attraction. So we needed a bedroom downstairs. And so there was not a true bathroom downstairs. We had a toilet out on the back porch, but there was really no shower or anything like this. And so we had these 2 closets that were fairly good size that went underneath the stairwell that goes upstairs. And so we were going to have it made into a bathroom. And so we hired Floyd, and I wanted to just put a fan with the hooked up to the switch. As soon as you turned the light on, the fan came on. No, Floyd said, nah, he says, I could punch a hole in there. It won't take me no time. Well, he got through at the end of the day. He had one hole that was about this one around, okay? And his hands were just all beat up. And it was unbelievable. But, of course, now he started, he had to finish it, okay? But so it was, and in that space, a span of about that high, there was 2 1-inch cables that run this way in this house, okay? So how many they got in here and how they tied them all together, I don't know.
About electricity.
They did put electricity to all the rooms. It was in the old single wire that when they went through the rafters, is in the porcelain things that they put through the wood. And so every room had electricity. When they first had electricity here, they had only, they had the electric plant. It was what, 32 volts, I think it was. And they had the old engine out here at the garage that they used for the electricity, but of course they didn't use it very often. I mean, only, you know, more or less they had all the lanterns and this type of thing that they used most of the time. And so they didn't get electricity in here until
The Edison company didn't put electricity in until about 47.
about 47. So, and that's another thing we're going to show you later down here, how they had a refrigeration room to try to keep fruit cool before they ever had any electricity. It's quite interesting. We're going to go down these steps, and there's a fish pond down here that has a lot of Indian artifacts that was cemented in. I think I'll try to explain a little bit to you before you go down it, because it's going to be hard for me with this size group to show you some of the stuff that's there. There's, as you walk down on the left-hand side, you'll see some red-looking rocks. And this is the original rock that came from the old red courthouse in Los Angeles that he helped cut stone for. Elizabeth has a picture that you might be interested in. This is what the original courthouse looked like after it was built. Okay, we can...
Built until in the early to mid-30s here. This is a picture of what the old redstone courthouse there in Los Angeles looked like, and then after the Long Beach earthquake, it was damaged and they had to tear it down. And there's some of those red stones here to the left.
Did your family build these?
Worked on that courthouse too.
My grandpa.
I might put you in rabbits, huh?
Some of the artifacts that they just cemented in here.
Uh-huh. Isn't that beautiful stuff?
Ooh, that one's pretty.
Yeah, that's petrified wood. But look at the Indian bowls, Indian.
What?
Was this the well then, or this?
This was just a fish pond that they had made. And see, they also, when they poured, muddy, when they poured, see, they put these in there as well from the Indians.
Oh yeah, I can
Come
see.
on and look at these pretty rocks.
See how it's all lined over with the minerals in the water. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't run it for
Oh,
years.
no. But isn't that amazing that all those minerals are in the water?
Yes. A lot of iron in our water. A tremendous amount of iron in our water.
One fell off.
Oh, that's neat. It's beautiful.
How do you fall off?
I don't know how they...
Somebody borrowed it.
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
Oh.
We got a few more around here to replace them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, that's nice work. Jeez.
Let me go on and get the top down off of here. This is the top half. The lower half of this house is the original homestead house. I'll take that. This house was used quite a bit when Jacqueline Smith made that 2-hour movie here a few years ago. This was, if you remember in the movie, I don't know whether you've seen it, it was on TV. This was the part they used for her brother's room, and he had a baseball mitt and stuff. If you can remember that movie, that this was part of that house, although they used our big house as well, which I don't think we would allow us here. It was just too much.
Yeah.
They moved us out in the motorhome, and we stayed in the motorhome for a month. And they took all the carpeting off the floor, and they used every room in that house except for our bedroom. We, of course, wouldn't allow it in there because the reason we didn't allow it because we have a frost alarm, and most nights we stayed in there was in the springtime. And so, but there was a few nights that we did sleep in the motorhome, but we had to move. We moved our office actually down in the basement so that we had some place to do our business. But it was too much. We just, really, it was just too much. And then that house has the old original windows in it, where instead of like what they are now, they were cut. Okay? So when you look out those windows, it's got the wave. Okay? Then they broke the windows. You can't replace those windows hardly. So I don't know that we'd ever allow them to do it.
Lord, very careful. Oh, yeah, very large.
Years. Yeah, it's, I think about how hard we work, and we do work hard, especially in the summertime. I mean, it's unbelievable. Most people won't believe us that we only average about 2 hours sleep a night for about 2 months. And you look back and you walk up this canyon and you start to look to see how many rocks and stuff that these people had to move to lay their cement lines and to build the pipelines and to build the underground dams. It's just, it's amazing. But there was one thing about them that they normally, unless it was in the springtime when the bees were swarming, they very rarely ever did much on Sundays except for take care of the water that they had running, this type of thing. All of the pictures that we have of the old family, most of them were all when they were dressed up. And it was always on Sundays, and they always seemed like either people came to visit them years ago or they went someplace on a Sunday to visit. And the 4th of July was one of the big highlights of their lives. And everybody in this area went to where the rehab center is today. And they had big trees there, cottonwood trees there, and everybody had the 4th of July party underneath that tree.
Did they go to Aqua Dulce to the Vasquez Rocks 4th of July? I mean, I'm hearing stories that they had theirs over there.
They always went to
over here.
To rehab.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, this house that we're looking at here was put on this house about 1932, a little bit before 1932. Elizabeth's grandfather started to have a tremendous amount of problems with arthritis. And so they took the old roof off of the old original homestead and built this house on top of the original homestead. And so that he would not have to go up and down the steps in the house. And in the meantime, he passed away. So he really did not live in this house, but that's just what this house was. This is the house that Elizabeth was raised in until she got tangled up with me. And then we lived in Palmdale for from August until December of 1953 when we were married. And then we have lived on the ranch ever since. And we can go down here now, and I'm going to show you the original homestead house.
Oh, it's still up around.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it goes to this house, not your own. Some of my helpers. All right, this house, you can see that this house was cut similar to the same way. They cut the stones so that they had it fairly smooth. They didn't smooth it up like they did on the big house, okay? But this is what we were looking at, Tommy and I, we were looking the other day, and what we thought was very interesting, and if you look, you'll find boards laid in here. Now, this is not cement. This is just clay, okay, that they put between this. And then the rocks are kind of fit together so that they can't slide out. But this is not concrete. This is just regular adobe that they found. And you can see they have this in this room. I'm going to open up this room because I think everybody ought to take a look in this room, because underneath there, there's an original fireplace in here. It's just an open fireplace. There's an old stove in here that they used to cook on. And this was their kitchen, more or less, okay? And inside here, it's kind of dark, but inside here, if you look close, you'll see pieces of wood that is this big around, in a round sense, like they took off of a limb. And they pounded a nail in it so that they could hang their utensils on, or their spoons, or whatever they had. It's really kind of neat. I'll just let whoever would like one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Stop right there, Daryl.
Good. Now where's the? It looks like an old timey ghost house. And I think I saw sign the secret
You think
back.
Santa Claus could come down that fireplace?
Yeah. I don't think so. Because no one lives here. Look it.
Yeah,
The old fireplace they said about.
somebody checked there, honey.
Don't
Can you imagine somebody
Keep
doing
the
that?
door open.
Oh.
Isn't
Oh
that
no, we
cool in
won't.
here,
We'll let be fighting with goats. Oh. No, what about? Oh. Wow, nice fire. I think
Honey,
I
don't
saw
touch anything,
rats.
honey, don't touch anything.
Yeah,
Just
don't
look.
touch
Just
anything
look.
here.
Yeah,
It
just-
wasn't me, it was her.
I know. honey,
Okay,
just
come on,
look.
let's
Don't
everybody go out so everybody gets a chance.
touch. Yeah.
Oh, bye, Bob.
Come in.
You should have a row in and a row out.
And then most of the time they folded up the legs and then they just piled up the rocks on top of them. They fold their hands this way. If you ever seen any of them, pictures of that. That's mainly what was happening. I mean, it is, we don't think of, we live here all the time, and we don't just, we don't pay much attention to it. And when Tommy started talking to us about, that they were trying to start a club and so on, then we kind of got interested in it a little bit and said we offered to try to get this thing started to show the people. We have often thought about trying to show even as far as taking a wagon and taking over. Take the death one. But we would have to hire somebody to take care of it because we just can't do it.
See that? And then with a turnout like this too. Look at it.
Yeah, look at this.
Everybody's
This is fantastic.
Everybody's
You know, and it's such a treasure.
Yeah,
Do you
it is.
realize the treasure?
Well, I don't think we probably do not.
No,
I don't think we really do appreciate. Well, I mean, I appreciate what her relatives did when you see the pipes that were laid and this type of thing and this type of thing. You appreciate it. But when you're real young, you don't. And then when you're so busy, you don't.
That's right.
You don't really.
You live with it every day.
You live with it. Now, Tommy and I went through. Tommy and I went through some stuff, and the other day. Well, we went into a project I wanted to, and I said, "Hey, look at this. We found." Probably Elizabeth gave her dad an old screwdriver, the ones that have the ratchet, that you push and the ratchet, come back. It was in a box, brand new box, never been used, okay? Just in a cupboard. He probably just put it away after Christmas or his birthday or whatever, and it went in there. Found an old spark plug, for example, that was for the old one-lungers, never been used, okay? Still in the champion box.
Yes.
I'm going to take you to a pig pen that they use that I bet you've never seen a pig pen like this before. It's all cut out of stone, okay? Yes. Okay, well, all right, we'll wait then. Okay. Sure, let's go ahead and go.
Lock it up.
Gonna get you on camera, Mel.
Thanks a lot.
What do you got to say about this day of going into your past?
I liked it a lot better before I went on camera.
I love this cactus.
46 Ford that looked a lot like that 40.
Did you really? Isn't it an oldie but goodie?
Did you see the plow down there? It's a plow, an old plow.
Oh. No, I didn't see that, Peg.
I read it during class.
He told us. He said all he could do was shoot it from the hip. He said she fell right in his foot, you know. So those are the kind of things. I wish I could remember all of this stuff. You know, every once in a while I get to thinking about something and I should go write it down and put it on tape, you know. But anyway, this is a pig pen. You're welcome to take a look at it, but that's what they did for the pigs. Okay.
They were rather important when it comes to table time.
When you putting it back in operation?
Yeah. Ray, that table time's important. Come on now. That's why we laid a few rock, huh?
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, see, there's two holes like we see there.
Yeah.
See, there's two holes in that rock that they were going to split it, and it looks like that the rock started to split, and it quickly quit. See?
Yeah.
It wasn't going to work. And we're going to waste our time, so they just quit.
That's amazing how they do that on the
Oh, it's unbelievable. Chip that off, is what you get off. And then as soon as they got it, they took that. But then we also have one that's much finer that they're much closer together to really get it off. I couldn't find the one I wanted that had the handle. I don't know.
You probably didn't have a large handle.
It had to be probably was
Even old cans. Rusty but antiques.
you know, most of it was here close in the canyon. They just went to the canyon. All right, let's go back, and I'm going to show you the original refrigeration unit. I'm going there now.
Excuse me.
What was that, honey? What did you just see?
That was where they get the pigs. Stone. That was exciting.
He's got 40 people under him, and his job is to take care of the nuclear power. Hi, Alberta. You gonna say hello to me again today on tape?
Say hello. Hi.
I like the fireplace. Many years, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Funniest thing is, this far away from town, you never throw anything away. It goes someplace. Because they're going to use it again someplace. Yeah, you got to hide it. Yeah, bury it. Got to do something.
You said this was a refrigerator, huh? Storage?
I put new light in here, I'm sorry. Waterfall. This was a refrigeration unit.
They didn't have an engine. They used the water.
Solid concrete. That's concrete. They put the planks in here, and then they poured the concrete on top of it. See, that's why that looks like planks. Okay? Sorry, I didn't fix the light because I forgot about it this morning.
No problem.
But that's what they did. They just run it down the side, and then the water would run out of the trough and outside, and they took it. I think they took it probably and put it on their garden. Yeah, because it seems like it. No, they really didn't do anything like that. No. Here in the summer, oh, yeah. Look at the thickness of that front wall. It's just unbelievable. And there's an air space, a dead space in there, so that the insulation is air, okay? And dead air. And some of the best insulation that you can get, okay? You know, these people, you think of those people not having, but these people were smart. And one other thing I gotta add. The damn government was here to help you, not what it is like today. All of their papers, they had to go, this was called the Angeles National Forest. I mean, the Santa Barbara National Forest in those days. To get those water right papers, for example, everything was done in Santa Barbara. And, you know, and those people, if you look at our papers that we have back, that go back, and then you start looking at the old documents that we have that have gold seals on them and this kind of stuff, you can quickly understand that the government really in those days were for the public. It's not like it is now, and I try to talk to people who are always wanting something from us. Okay? Instead of them being a servant to us, they think we are a servant to them. And this is somehow or another in this country, if we don't turn it around, we got a problem. It's getting worse and worse. So I didn't mean to get off the bandwagon, but if you looked at our papers, you can understand. I mean, this family has given to the county of Los Angeles, well, a 3/4 mile right of way. They just give it to them for a road. And that wasn't the only road that's sitting out here. There was other pieces of the parcel that years ago that they just given to them. What they do after they give it to them, the next year they came back and raised their taxes. I mean, it's just, you know, it's unbelievable. And you try to tell these people, you try to make them understand. It's like talking to a cement wall. I think it listens more, you know. But anyway.
What's the average temperature in here when you keep the door closed?
Oh, I suppose it probably isn't much over 50, 55, probably. It never varies much. Even in the summertime, it doesn't vary.
How full did they ever have it at one time?
I don't know. Okay. Now, when we run our boxes, of course, our boxes up there are altogether different than this. These are all big units that we got, but we run about somewhere in the neighborhood of about that one pre-cooler that we got. We like to keep it at 32 degrees. And we keep storing stuff at about 32, 33 most of the time. We store, in the one room up there, we can store 8,000 lug boxes. And the other one we use all as a pre-cooler, and what we do with it nowadays is we pre-cool everything before we ever pack it down. And bring it out, run it over our equipment, pack it, put it back into the box. And then whenever we're going to Los Angeles, most of the time we go practically every time.
What do they store in here again? What do they store in here again?
This was mainly in those days. They had mostly apples and pears.
I smell apples.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does, but I have a smell apple aroma.
Yeah, most of it was apples, and you don't hang. We used to hang beef. We made a mistake one time. We killed a beef that we had raised, and we hung it in here to cool it out. That was the biggest mistake. We lost that whole beef because it picked up the taste of the apple. It was terrible. We lost the whole beef. Oh, it was unbelievable.
I can smell apple.
Hung it in here. You think, well, hey, you know, this is nice. You can hang it in here for a day or so. But we had hung it in for a couple of weeks, you know.
Sure.
And they picked up the taste of the cellar.
It's a medicine. Take a deep breath.
I think probably, I'm not positive, but I think they probably built it in either the late teens or early 20s. I'm not positive what this would build. Those are some of the questions that I wished I'd have asked my father-in-law. I really would. You know, some of this stuff I just never even, I never really thought much about it. I mean, you know, we were working all the time. The only time I really did get to talk to him much about it was in the wintertime when we were pruning together. We were pruning on the same tree. And I could get him to talk to me about stuff about that, you know. One of the things I guess, well, one of the things I think most people do not understand what our people like this went through when they lived in this country. He had enough, for example, he had enough money one time to buy bee supplies and have one trip on the train. That's all the money he had, okay? So there was a trail that went from here to Mount Lowell. And Mount Lowell is over by Mount Wilson, okay? Now and there was a cable car that went down from there into Los Angeles, okay? He got he walked from here all the way over there, rode that cable car in. He left at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? He was back that night with his supplies. I mean, you know, it's hard to imagine how much these people had to work. And you know, my father-in-law, for example, they dug so many ditches that he could take a shovel. I wouldn't work alongside him. He'd kill you. I'm serious, with a shovel. He knew he would take that shovel and he'd lay it across his legs and he could just work his arms and legs together. He could dig a ditch so quick it was unbelievable. I just wouldn't even work close to him when we were digging a ditch because you're trying to keep, he was 70 years old when I'm talking about. I mean, you know, he'd just about kill you. I'd go down somewhere else and it didn't work. But it was unbelievable. It really was.
How old of a man was he when he passed away?
Pardon me?
How old was he when he passed
81.
away? 81. Wow.
How far is it from here to Mount Lowell?
Well, I don't know. The sign says over here on the mountain over here on Angeles West says 35 miles to Pasadena. So I don't know how many miles it's been to Paul. But they went, you know where the ranger station is down there at the bottom of Hidden Spring. There was a trail that went across that way through that canyon, okay? Now there's that road that cuts across and goes to Highway 2. That was the way I believe they went. On the backside of Strawberry Mountain and so on is how they went. I would like to find part of that old trail because it'd kind of be interesting to think that some of your relatives went over that those many years ago, you know. Mainly what they really started to do in those years, this whole ranch started with bees, with making honey. This whole Acton area was a very heavy producing, and it was all comb honey in those days. And the buyer would come once a year to buy comb honey, okay, from the producers around here. And he would take and he would come up and he would take them all to the hotel. All of the producers take them to a hotel and furnish a supper for all of them, okay? And then they would load all of their comb honey on the railroad cars, and then that's the way they went out of here to Los Angeles. It was kind of fantastic, you know? So, okay, is there any more questions while I'm in here? Okay.
Ray, what is this on the ceiling?
Oh, I suppose that just from water, I imagine, just from
It looks so solid, yeah.
Oh, well, that's all concrete.
No, yeah, it's all those little drop-looking things.
Oh, that's water.
Is that all water?
That's water.
It's funny, it's not
It's
dripping,
gonna
it's
drop
just so
on
solid. It looks so solid, doesn't look like it's gonna
No, I
drop.
imagine. I can't
I
reach
thought it
it.
was water, but I can't wait for it to drop.
Is there any moisture? Is there?
No, sometimes it rains, it would get in.
Seeps.
You know.
Yeah, it seeps.
Somebody else over here.
The thickness of the door?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where Elizabeth is.
Wait, no, you're not, wait.
Yeah, get close to that man.
Let's tape it.
He told her, he says, and you know you're jumping from the frying pan into the fire. Okay? So when we were not supposed to end up down here on the ranch. Her brother was supposed to, but I won't go into that problem. But anyhow, so we ended up down here. And you know when she ended up down here, you know what she told him? Aren't you glad I jumped from the frying pan into the fire? She didn't. So as this thing went on, we made kind of a joke out of it. And I've always told her, I said, you know, you're and your dad plotted against me, you know. And I said, you got me to marry you. And then I said, and then you got me to cook. The only reason you did that is to come down here and run this Blum Ranch, okay? And I says, and the pay is sure lousy. And she says, but look at all those fringe benefits you get. Okay. All right. Did you put those things out?
Did the frost get all yours too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not
They were gigantic.
I'll bet they were, because I had about
All over the fire.
10 years growth on mine.
These were already here in 1953. Okay. Before I came on the ranch. They were gigantic.
Yeah, loose roots, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm gonna throw your jacket in.
Okay.
In here. There you go from there.
What's your elevation here?
3,000.
3.
Yeah, we're just about just 3 or close to 3,000 where you're at. I like it. And where do you think you're?
I'm glad it's hers.
Come on, Tony.
How many children do you have?
3.
3.
We have 2 boys and a girl.
And do they live on the ranch at all?
None of them.
Nobody's going to carry on with the business?
It has not been enough money to be able to support 2 families, okay? I don't know. But they all, in fact, where they work, they make more money than we do. Than Mom and Dad does. But, you know, but I don't know. We have a daughter and son-in-law who he went back to get his PhD at Texas A&M, and that is in poultry. Our daughter was a ag major when she graduated from Cal Poly at San Luis. I don't know. You know, we don't really think about it, and I guess really, basically, we ain't ready to give it up yet, okay? I mean, I think we would have too many arguments, but, you know, but things are getting harder. I hate to have to admit it. A year ago, we were very, very disgusted.
Yeah.
We were ready to quit, and we still are having problems. We're glad to hear that some of the things that we were really complaining about we're going to change. One of the big problems that we see is with OSHA. If they come on this farm, we're through. And I'm not talking just my own, I'm talking about everybody. We cannot abide by the laws that there's there.
Yeah.
And we're breaking laws all the time. They're making it so that the whole thing's going to be so tough eventually that you just, you know, I mean, well, look at our pesticide problem. I mean, people don't understand that we cannot survive without it, okay? And we will someday, okay, but not now.
Right.
And we try every which way to get out of using any material that we can get out of. But you just can't do away with it. And we're supposed to call these guys 24 hours a day. I mean, before we're going to spray. Like we're going to spray this morning, we should have called them 24 hours yesterday before, okay?
Do they send them in
At the end
now?
of the month, we have to fill out, before the 10th of every month, we have to fill out everything that was used, on what dosage, what crops. You know, I mean, it's unbelievable. And they want us to call, of course, I won't call them. I'm ornery enough to just say, hey, take it. I asked the guy last summer, we have to also, for our employees, we have to put a sign up saying, no re-entry until such and such a date, okay, for certain materials. So I had one sitting, they keep trapped in this orchard all the time to catch, like the medfly and this type of thing. And so he drove up in front of it, and he says, gee, that's nice. He said, but you didn't call me. And I asked him, I said, did you call the highway patrolman yesterday morning? He said to me, he said, what's that got to do with what we're talking about? I said, well, There's more people killed from automobiles than there is from my spray. And you know, I said, how come you didn't call him? He says, what's that got to do with it? I said, you mean to tell me that you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you? I said, I ain't gonna call you anymore, Gary. And you can tell your boss, you can do whatever you want to, but I'm not gonna call you. I never did call him. I knew that he wouldn't go to his boss, because his boss is gonna say, hey, Gary, take care of it, okay? You know, but these are stupid things.
Do they actually come out when you call them? I mean, if you were to call them, they want something.
What they do, they want to know what you sprayed. You have to, even if they, you know, what they're going to do. And our employees, see, if I'm not spraying, and I have somebody, the training purposes that we have to go through, they just want to make sure that this guy's got a mask on and anything like this. But if he's caught without it, they don't find him, they find me. So anyway, okay, now we got most of them up here. You're welcome to go around in here. You look on the walls. You can see a lot of the old stuff. We haven't nailed it all up yet. Maybe someday we'll get to nailing it all up. As you walk in here, there's this little pamphlet that you can pick up from here, and inside this kind of has a history of the ranch. And you're welcome, every one of them. You're welcome to take one or two if you need it. Okay?
But there are some pictures all around on the walls and the old tools.
And so you can just look around here all you'd like. Any questions, ask the boss there.
This old barn was built around 1910, and the far side of it was for the horses and cows to come in where we fed them, and then there were corrals around on the other side, but we've since filled it all in and have refrigeration rooms here now.
I gotta tell you a little story about that. We all laughed about it. Someday we thought that they would dig this ranch up, and on that side over there where they had kept the horses and the cows, they had this big manger that was made out of concrete. And it had rings cemented into this, okay? And to tie up the animals. And we said when we filled this up with sand and then we poured concrete over the top of it because we needed more space, well, we all laughed about it. We said someday they're going to dig it up and they're going to say that's where we tied our slaves, okay? Thank you, folks.
Bring it out here.
Pictures on the wall. The ranch. There's the prices for their honey.
Well, we got to do it outside. Just get a handful. Just get a couple. Just.
Bees.
That's enough.
Story of the bees.
No, that's okay. Get one.
I got one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat them.
Yeah, we go outside.
Look what they found here.
Oh, you can put those back. Those are sale. Put that back in.
Charlotte, see the t-shirt?
Jacqueline Smith. Oh, that was the one he was talking about in 1989. Settled the store.
No. We got to buy
Like I saw.
Messenger of death, everyone's blood not. When was it done? In 1988. That movie was made in 88. Sage or buckwheat honey.
We had a great time today.
Sage. That's where the sage comes from. Or the buckwheat.
Very interesting.
Let's get one of each. Blue.
Stevie, you want a grape? Okay, great. Come on, let's go.
Nice bulletin board with all the pictures of the family. The kids.
Alright, I'll get one.
Probably didn't. Detroit. Okay, still.
What? A new outfit?
We cried. We all
Remember when I asked everybody, now which side you were staying on? Which side, where would I go to look for what?
well, usually we right out.
Charcoal right in the bank.
Oh, Ray ain't all.
Oh, no, I won't.
You cut my face.
I don't know really what to say about it. I really don't. I'm scared. I am scared about some of this.
No, they're gonna be selling it all the markets.
You gotta remember let me tell you what I did. A supermarket or a buyer for a supermarket want from us. No, that's not all. I wish that was. They for a piece, for example, which is O. Henry's, if you probably remember seeing it, O. Henry's is red. Okay, 50 years ago, almost 2 years. What they want is a piece that look like that. Okay, look like that. And they all want them
Great family outing today. The kids have had a really good time.
Get your little brochure, honey?
I didn't get one yet. Pick me up one, yes.
And then the one here that this one is big in the bag. And also you got a crystal.
This is sort of their
one of the reasons they do
main places.
they demand that we defund. Running around and running
You gonna go over to line up there? Oh, yeah. George.
It's a heck of a ride. They don't like it because it gets soft, okay? And they don't care about what you eat. They want you to take it home, but they don't care what you eat.
No, they just want you to buy it.
Yeah, but you know, like I hear people complain about it all the time. You know, they're too hard, they're not right.
All the nutrients in it anyways.
Well, this is the object. This is the object of the whole thing is, so then it don't break down on the shelf.
So if you buy it here before you ship it to market, you pay
Go to Bill. Born and raised here in Acton.
Unless we sell, so once in a while, we have some that's
Daryl
like,
Frisco.
that we will not be packing at the
Hubby,
time. We're
the
not
honeybee,
packing
I
and we
guess
don't
it should
run them
say
over
when you're
our
on the
equipment.
honeycomb.
Okay, but as we're packing, we just run everything over because we just almost have to. Everything's picking in big bins.
I worked in the citrus industry and all the good
You know where if you go into a big packing house in the north, you'll find that all the good pieces are going out to the pigs. I'm serious.
I believe
The
it.
ones that are really the best flavors.
I believe it.
Look, we sell tomatoes actually that we buy out of Oxford, okay? Now I'll tell you what we get. We get their number twos, okay? The number twos are because they're red on the vine, okay?
Yeah.
Their number ones are solid green.
Agree.
They're no good.
You know, if the markets would start thinking of mentality, the reason why they have to leave them on the shelves for 3 weeks is because people feel it and they go, they aren't ripe and they'll buy them. If they sent riper fruit out, they would buy them, then they wouldn't have them rotting in the shelves. You know, I mean, it's sort of, if you think about it, you know, I can see shipping, you know, maybe they want not to bruise so bad or something, you know, but the way
I'm not
they're
gonna
so
go in and
hard,
buy
yeah.
a green tomato.
Or, you know, or green peach.
They gas them to mix them right.
And apricots.
What we're going to do next is that everybody's going to take a break and get lunch if you want some lunch, and then meet at the clubhouse in Acton. Okay?
You got a time for that?
Well, I suppose somewhere after 12 o'clock, I imagine. Okay? Don't you think? Sometime after 12?
Yeah, right around 12.
12.
It'll be
Between 12 Oh, it says 12 here. Oh, okay.
The building would be open at 12. If I wasn't here, we'd be up on the hill drilling,
Yeah.
getting ready for blast.
Where, in Acton?
In Acton, yes.
On what, where? Governor Mine?
What's your place?
Governor Mine.
We're on the other side of the Governor Mine.
Okay.
Right over in the Governor Mine. But the guy that works with me couldn't make it to the meeting today because he was busy digging up on the hill. He prefers to dig.
What is he digging for?
Digging for the yellow one.
The yellow gold?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty good color, huh?
Well, I'm getting good prospects.
I'm
Develop
saying.
something good. That's right.
Great lady.
No evidence of
It's worth